So if you'll take a second, look at the plan.
Well, you will see what I see. And that's money.
Not our money.
Kenny Wells is like a third or fourth generation guy in the mining industry, you know, so his grandfather's great-grandfather's dad. And, you know, it's a family company called Washoe Mining. Washoe's the county where Reno is, up in Nevada. And Kenny inherits the company. His dad dies suddenly, has a heart attack, and he takes over, you know, and at a very hopeful time, you know, quite optimistic. And then things change, you know. At that time period, really, if you go back and look at it, the economy, it was a tough time for commodities. That, you know, suddenly, instead of the ball rolling downhill, the ball's rolling uphill. You know, headwinds, and things don't go well for Kenny. And so we start the movie. You meet the father, you know, played wonderfully by Craig T. Nelson, and then. And actually, Craig T. Nelson and Matthew McConaughey look alike, so they're like perfect as a father-son. And you know, the father is giving him his philosophy and, you know, saying it's blue skies, Kenny, blue skies. And you hear Kenny's thoughts where he's like, my old man, you know, a legend. It's the last time I saw him alive. And then you pick up 7 years later, and Kenny's walking into a bar, and he's now working out of a bar. You know, some of the guys you've seen in his office, you know, that were with him with his dad when it was a real company, they're still with him, you know, they're friends and they've stuck it out, but, you know, the plane has just been going, you know, straight into the mountain.
Lawman is putting into my running, and I'm so far from my home.
Mike Akasha.
What are we talking about?
I had a dream.
Right here.
Indonesia.
That's where we'll find the gold.
McConaughey is an artist, and he's a nice person. He's a great dad. He's a great husband, but he's a real artist. And so when he approached this role, you know, there wasn't anything he wasn't willing to do. You know, and I mean, he made a complete physical transformation. He gained way over 40 pounds. You know, and he didn't do it with like prosthetics. We changed his hairline, we changed his teeth, he changed his body. But it's just the way he carries himself, you know? It's like what injuries he had in high school, from which sporting events, you know? The character of Kenny Wells had a whole litany of football injuries, and you'd see it in the way he walked, you know? He had a whole history of, like, you know, car wrecks and bar fights and just stuff that didn't go right. And Matthew knew every bit of it, and he carried it every day. And it was an incredible performance, and inhabitation, even more than acting. I was blown away.
FBI! The gold is mine. I found
And the only question I'm left with is,
How did $17 billion disappear overnight?
I think what's special about the movie Gold is actually the structure of the film and the structure of what happens in Kenny's journey, which is essentially he has a dream of finding the largest gold mine in the world, right? And a miracle, he actually succeeds. His dream comes true, and it comes true at the end of the first act. It happens faster probably than he could even expect. That's not what the story of the movie is. The story of the movie is what happens after your dream comes true, after you strike gold. What comes next, you know? And what's fascinating about the mining industry, or, you know, as they call it, the subsurface minerals industry, and in fact all natural resource businesses that take place all over the world, what's fascinating is these businesses are surrounded by some of the sharpest elbowed, toughest competitors. You can't trust anyone, and I'm talking whether it's, you know, you have to raise money to get your mine up and going, right? So you go to Wall Street and hit the capital markets. Those guys are like looking at you, literally like you're the biggest chump, you're bait fish that's come along, and they're just gonna carve you up, you know? They're saying one thing, and behind your back they're planning something completely different.